Jason is here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. And today we're going to be talking about a story around Dave Filoni. What does his new title mean from a Vanity Fair article? It's already spinning out of control. Well, we'll tell you exactly what it is without all of the hyperbole, I hope. And today I'm joined by Bespin Bulletin. Rob might be here. I'm not sure. I sent him the thing, but I think he's, Thanksgiving week, kind of a traumatic week for everybody because you got to kill the turkey yourself and everything. How's it going, Mr. Bespin?
It's all right. I was enjoying our game of Fortnite before we had to rush off and write and do this and everything else.
And thank you to Chris Spreezy for being our Janine in the Ghostbusters firehouse who hits the bell for us to get on the little flagpole and, scoot down.
Bespin, we got one. Bespin, we got one.
We got one. Does it have white robes? No, it doesn't. But we're gonna go take care of it anyways. So yeah, like I said, there's like a lot of just BS already going on around this in the first 5 minutes. Like, I knew the answer when I asked you. Okay, I already knew the answer, but I was like, does this make him Kevin Feige? No, it doesn't.
That's what we were like, we need to do a show because all these people are gonna start flipping it and saying this is something that it's not.
Yeah, if you go to Dave Filoni's Lucasfilm page, it says Dave Filoni, Executive Vice President / Chief Creative Officer now.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm just saying that, Chief Creative Officer is his new role. He definitely has had a promotion, but he explains himself what the promotion is essentially, or what this new role means. But he is not Kevin Feige. Like,
no, this isn't another brick in the wall in your culture war that's going to keep, whatever you don't like out of Star Wars. Sorry, it's just not. That's not the thing that you think it is. That's the subtext to a lot of the oh God, he's Kevin Feige now. And it's like, well, and I also find that extraordinarily stupid from those people when he's the man who literally put the Marvels out this week or whatever it's been. It's
Kevin Feige, like, he is the Marvel Studios president as well as being a CCO, and he took over the role of CCO in 2019 when Marvel Studios were able to get the Marvel TV rights. Because there was a different company that was doing it at the time, and now Feige oversees both the movies, the films. He's the president. Basically, there's three people that's mentioned in here: Filoni, Kathy, and Carrie Beck.
I'm sorry, but I feel a presence.
Oh no.
It's I don't know what you call it. It's dark. It's Filonious. It's Filonious D.
It's my birthday. Oh my God. It's my birthday year, Jason. I'm at my birthday every day. I get presents, and now I'm Chief Creative Officer. Yay.
You can't arrest people, right? That doesn't allow you. You can't arrest people.
I don't even like to tell people what I do. I just say I'm not the Jedi Council. I got like a weird head. And I like tell Hayden Christensen where you gonna be on any given day, especially these days. Know what I'm saying?
Because I've been hearing you've been trying to cuff people, telling them they're under arrest.
Oh yeah, finger cuffs. I love that. Yeah.
No. Oh man.
Look, I'm wearing the headphones around my hat like a
I'm sorry, Bespin. I didn't know he was. I didn't know he was gonna show up.
I was busy playing Apex Legends though, Jason. It's like the best game. You know what I'm saying?
They don't make Star Wars characters on Apex Legends. Why are you playing that, Dave? All right.
I know. I just like to. I just play as me though. They got big cowboy hats. You know what I'm saying? They don't got any cowboy hats in your Fortnite, but they got them in Apex. So that's where I go.
Bespin, do you want to finish what you were saying, or should I?
I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, okay. Basically, the Feige does the three roles of the people we're going to mention in here.
Okay. Yeah. So the takeaway is, in case you just wanted the answer to the episode title, no, Dave Filoni is not Kevin Feige. He's part of a Kevin Feige Voltron.
Oh my God, he's a Kevin Feige Voltron.
yeah. He might.
I'm gonna call Big Bad Toy Store and tell him to give me Kevin Feige Voltron right now because I just gotta have one. Jason.
Entertainment Earth exclusive. All right.
Yeah, I can't wait. All right. Well,
Okay.
I got to get back to I got all sorts of plans for the Bad Batch and Bad Batch part season 7 and 69. And I just
Nope.
can't. We're going to be doing, it's going to be so much Bad Batch, Jason. You can't
Okay.
wait.
Well, why don't you go
And then we're going to
Greenlight?
do,
Go Greenlight Ahsoka too. Okay. Go do that.
oh, no. Well, we'll get around to that. In the
Yeah.
meantime, now I'm going to get you some Bad Batch.
But by the way, when Felonious D goes to greenlight something, he turns on a green flashing light with techno music and strips off his clothes. It's really weird. All right,
I
Dave
also like to
Filoni.
do karaoke as Sting, and I sing Greenlight. Know what I'm saying,
Oh,
Jason?
okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and you
I
gotta
gotta
stop
go.
calling Carrie Beck karaoke Beck because that's not right. She's actually a really
I'm
talented
more of a
producer.
cake fan. Know what I'm saying? I gotta go back.
Go in the distance, or the band, or the food. All right, Dave Filoni promoted to chief creative officer at Lucasfilm. Ahsoka season 2 yet to be greenlit by Bespin Bulletin. What? You mean it's not greenlit? But everybody keeps telling me that on Twitter. Okay.
I thought it's filming at Pinewood.
Yeah, it's filming at Pinewood right now. The creator behind the Ahsoka series and producer of The Mandalorian has been promoted to chief creative officer at Lucasfilm. Dave Filoni confirmed the news to Vanity Fair in an interview where he discussed the first season of Ahsoka. A second is...
As you can tell, I wrote
it's
this very
okay.
quickly.
It's okay. You're allowed to have a typo in the speed that we did this. A second season is yet to be officially greenlit. Before we continue with news of the day, you can support him on Patreon and Coffee.
Yeah.
So those are the two places you should support Bespin. And on this channel, you can become a channel member and Patreon. But if you support us, we'll love you forever. But if you don't, Polonius D will come into your dreams. Wreck havoc.
He'll come right in there.
He'll come right in there, and trust me, he doesn't leave. Once you have a Felonious D infestation, it doesn't go away. All right, Dave Filoni exclusively revealed to Vanity Fair that he is now in the position at Lucasfilm as the chief creative officer. Filoni was formerly the executive creative director at the company. I mean, see, all of these titles, they all sound like a bunch of bullshit to me because they all sound like the same thing pretty much. But obviously, new job titles come with new responsibilities, like Uncle Ben says. Filoni explained to the outlet that the position... No, Ben Kenobi. Uncle Ben Kenobi says, with great titles comes great new job responsibilities. Did you ever see Star Wars? You fucking... God, dude, pay attention.
No.
Watch the shows. You talk about the shows more than you watch them. That's a problem. All right.
Yes.
Anyways, it places Filoni much earlier in the development process for various films and series. Filoni explained that in the past, he would be brought onto projects to give his input after they'd already been developed. So he would see like the first drafts or something later after the development process had begun. Filoni revealed that in his new role as CCO, he won't be telling filmmakers what to do, but instead he will be trying to help them tell the best story that they want to tell. Filoni added that his responsibility is to understand the intent of the filmmaker and for him to be a resource to them. So it makes sense. It makes more sense because sometimes you hear about, like, you would think that Pablo Hidalgo was doing that. But once again, Pablo Hidalgo is, not necessarily a creative filmmaker. So this is much.
He
more
likes to do things Hidalgo style. You know what I mean?
Which is what I do in a West End's role playing game, probably.
West End games.
Dave
Right.
Filoni will now work much closer with Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm Head of Development Carrie Beck. Beck's role will see her recruiting storytellers and filmmakers into the Star Wars universe, and will also originate and shepherd the next generation of Star Wars films and series with Filoni weighing in on a narrative level during the development process. Now, to me, Jason, not Bespin Bulletin in his article here, that says we're going to see a lot more people from traditional animation coming in to work on Star Wars with Carrie Beck and Dave Filoni's past in animation and in that culture and bringing those people over. Star Wars is such a heavily animated show, even if it's live action, that I think that's what we're going to see. We'll probably see Brad Bird types coming into Star Wars, but people we've never heard of as well, I would imagine.
But even in that little piece, it's evident that Filoni isn't the one, because people are going to assume he's the one greenlighting and setting out the stories to be told. That is not the case. Carrie Beck is going to be the one greenlighting those things, and she even still has to answer to Kathy. But she's going to be one who's bringing in the storytellers, the filmmakers, and letting them develop the stories they want to tell. Yeah. A lot of the times at the moment, it seems as if they either approach filmmakers they'd like to work with, or they're getting pitched by filmmakers.
Right.
Filoni will just help with the narrative.
And in my opinion, with Carrie Beck has been Dave Filoni's longtime creative partner or business partner in this since Clone Wars. With that in mind, we are likely going to see them developing. Like my pet peeve, or my pet theory has been that if that Filoni movie takes off, we're going to see much more films coming out following it. And that right there would seem to speak to the quote Filoniverse going into the film stuff in a bigger way. And that's probably exactly why these two people are put in that position, in my opinion. But time will tell if that's what it is or not. I mean, if the films that come after the slate are fucking Andor the movie and stuff like that, then I guess not. All right, you go on to write, Mr. Bespin. The Vanity Fair article confirms that despite Filoni now holding a larger position at Lucasfilm, he is still actively working on his Star Wars movie that was announced in April at Star Wars Celebration. Filoni's Star Wars flick will act as a crossover event for the Mandoverse series, including The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. Speaking of Ahsoka, the Vanity Fair article reveals that Filoni is exploring the possibility of a second season of the Ahsoka series, but a second season is yet to be officially greenlit or confirmed. The publication confirmed that all the projects announced at Star Wars Celebration are still currently in development and part of the Lucasfilm schedule. So they are sticking to their story of that film slate. And it has been, I guess, our mantra over the last year or so that the next part of the Ahsoka series, whether it's Ahsoka 2 or something else, and Mando was supposed to happen before that film. And that it was part of that film even happening. At least that's what I was hearing. And I have to assume that if we don't get Ahsoka 2, then it's because they are just deciding to market that narrative in a different way, like Sabine. You know what I mean? But it's the same thing. They just took it into a different direction.
Or they just forgo the show and just go put it into the movie.
Or the movie that story becomes that. Yeah, hey, look who it is. It's my little baby boy, Luke's VR world. How's it going, son? So yeah, I think that with all of this stuff right here, I mean, I think it is overall a positive thing, because I think that somebody like Dave Filoni can take a very grown up, advanced narrative like Andor and actually tell them how they might be able to make it without, or what's going to lose the average people, and then they can decide, the average Star Wars fan as it exists now, and then decide, yeah, you know what, it's worth it in this instance. We're trying to make something that generates adult interest in Star Wars, as opposed to like the people that are already there and children. Like we have these very laid out goals. And he'll be able to help them know that it's not going to go the way that they think it's going to go. Like there's times when I think Tony Gilroy thought, this might just go like Star Wars like usual. We really don't know what to expect. But I think that we all kind of knew what to expect. I would imagine the three of us knew what to expect, and Dave Filoni, from it probably. But it's a interesting time, because they're also saying that that slate is still active. And that's
to be fair, they also still say the Rogue Squadron is still in development.
Yeah, yeah, it's because they don't take the files of the development and put it into a big bonfire and burn it like Darth Vader's body in Return of the Jedi. Like they just go like, we're just not doing anything right now. We're just sitting on it. Mm-hmm. And when somebody else comes to pick up that job someday, that job of Rogue Squadron, they're likely going to get that stack of files of scripts and ideas and the notes and the minutes from the meetings, and they're going to probably be able to look through it and then go and then build from there, in theory.
But to be fair, the only things that were talked about at Celebration during the showcase were the Filoni movie, the Rey movie, Dawn of the Jedi, and then Acolyte and Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
There was nothing outside of that, which means it's not a lot. Skeleton Crew and Acolyte clearly are, they're in the post-production process.
Yeah.
And then we know the Rey and Filoni movies are pretty much the dead certs to happen.
Right.
And the Mangold movie is so far away at this point anyway that it's like it might not even be Mangold that does it. You know, it might get replaced by another movie, different idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mentioned this to James. We'll just say, I hear they're very up for that Levy movie.
You did.
Yeah.
You were telling me that not too long ago.
Yeah, they have a lot of hope for it at the moment. So, yeah, that's just again Disney like him though. Disney like Levy
Mm-hmm.
because he's doing a solid job on Deadpool 3. He's he delivered Free Guy to them in a time where the
Well,
box
I can
office
give you
was
the
different.
official name. We's calling it Stranger Twi'leks right now. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be all just Twi'leks, Jason. They're
You're
gonna go on adventures,
You're
and they're
lying
gonna
again.
play Star Wars RPG tabletop and stuff like that.
Not
It's
true.
gonna be so good. No, it's totally true. That's what we're gonna do. And then
Making
we're
it
gonna
up
give
again.
one of them a weird bowl cut, right? We're gonna never change it for 5 seasons. He's just gonna always have that haircut, no matter what year we's in. We just gonna have that Twilight
No.
bowl cut.
Not
What
true
now?
at all. No,
Oh.
you're lying again.
But I'm
You're drunk
I'm
with
the
power.
chief creative
You're drunk
officer,
with
Jason.
you're drunk with power again.
I'm drunk. I'm on ecto coolers right now. I had like 14 ecto coolers.
He's wearing. I heard he thinks he not only is he trying to arrest people now, he's wearing a body cam into so that way he can record everything.
Wow,
It's
Jason,
weird.
I've always worn 2 GoPros on my nipples. You know that. I can't do it.
He wants Chris Breezy wants to know, Bestman, what era do you think the Levy movie will be set?
1900s.
1999. I think it's going to be like a Prince tribute film.
Mm-hmm.
That seems fair.
I want
But-
the era where B. Arthur can run around the Star Wars galaxy doing whatever the fuck she wants. That era. Like,
Right. Yeah, I kind of can see how we're gonna just have a bunch of films coming in until something clicks. I mean, I think that's what this looks like to me. I like when you look at all of it, because when we look at like what the actual like open slate is, I know I've said this like a few times, so stick with me, guys. I apologize, but it's like, there's only so many slates for Star Wars films in the next 10 years. There's just between Marvel and Avatar and then just Disney's film output itself and stuff like that, and they can't compete with themselves.
why are they
And
making
then-
Avatar, Jason?
Yeah,
They shouldn't make that. No one cares. It's not culturally. No one. It doesn't have an impact like Star Wars. That thing I fucking
it
hate.
is
That's
true.
dying.
It's true.
No one
It's
gives a
just
shit
weird
about.
grandpas who watch it. I mean, at this point, but
Well,
it's the
2.3 billion worth of
but
weird
it's the thing
grandpas.
that the grandpas are turning out to see. I mean, it is. It's true.
It made more than Barbie and Oppenheimer combined. So
What?
then go fuck off.
What? Yeah, but I would say that those were both better movies. So
I don't care what you say.
Just saying. I mean, just kind of, it's my opinion. But yeah. So but the Filoni, I think that my takeaway from this, my takeaway, like reading between the lines thing is that I think we're going to get much more Filoni also produced films in the era. Now, it's very clear in that article, he's not the one who's coming up with the ideas. He's not saying, I want to do a show called Skeleton Crew. That's Goonies. Let's find the boys to do it. Like it's pretty clear that's not what's
Hit them
happening.
boys. Let's go find
You
them.
know,
Like, where are they at? Like,
Yeah.
let's make it happen.
Yeah. So it's it's clear that that's where this is going. I mean, but it's also clear what they're saying it's not going to be that. But I do think that there's no way this closes the door on Filoni films, on the Filoni era, the Mando verse as they call it, not spawning more films. When there's an opportunity in the Mandalorian timeline for a new movie, I don't think it's going to be as overlooked as it was before.
But I think they'd only do it if that film is successful, though. I don't think he's just going to be allowed to like go to Carrie Beck and pitch his ideas of like, hey, let's do all these different spin-off movies, and then that movie say not make over 500 million. I think it will, but
yeah, and to be clear, I'm not saying that the Mando movies will be Filoni making them. I think that the other movies that are in the era will likely, like, they will be bringing in more filmmakers to carry on his concept or the ideas that what was the like, for instance, let's just pretend it's a whole different era. We just had Thrawn return, right? Well, in the future, when something like that happens, they might hire Sean Levy to come in and do that movie, as opposed to Dave Filoni himself. Because on one hand, there does come a point where Dave Filoni cannot do everything. Like there will
James
come a
Gunn begs
point.
to differ.
Yeah. I don't think they're the same animal.
No,
You know what I
he's
mean?
co-president of DC Studios.
Yeah.
Like, he's more
Yeah,
of the creative
actually,
side, but
you know this shit really well. Will you explain to everyone what the difference is between? You've already done Feige, but what's
right.
the difference between James Gunn now and Dave Filoni? Just for the slow kids in the back like myself.
Well, James Gunn is a co-president of DC Studios with, I can't remember the guy's name, it's like Peter something, right? But it's essentially, he's more of the creative out of the two, and then
Right.
Peter, who I think he did a lot of the horror movies over there, like The Nun and whatever, he's more of the business side, right? But they both still have to answer to David Zaslav.
So
Like,
together they're like a Zaslav mullet, party in the front,
essentially,
business in the
yeah.
back. No, business in the front, party.
You
in the
could
back.
probably liken him, like Gunn, more to. Gunn will also sort of do the Beck and Filoni roles. Like, he will greenlight projects and movies, and then he will also look for the filmmakers and storytellers to present them. But he will also help them in the narrative. Like, like Filoni mentions it in his thing that he had to get his hands dirty as a filmmaker with live action to feel as if he can warrant this job.
Right.
That's sort of what Gunn is also doing. He's had
Right.
enough experience and everything in the industry that he feels as if he can help filmmakers rather than just be a guy in a chair.
Yeah.
And you've seen it with like all the projects that's currently going on. They just hired the writer for Supergirl, and it seems as if he was integral to that. He read her Supergirl script, which was supposed to be for the one that was in the Flash, and that script is dead. That movie's dead. But he read it and was like, right, I want you to do my version of Supergirl, the version we've announced, Woman of Tomorrow, because I loved your draft so much of the previous effort.
Right.
And again, he's also going off and directing movies. He's doing Superman Legacy, I think, stuff's filming in the spring. And then he's also
writing cartoons.
He's writing cartoons.
He's casting his brother. He's casting his wife. Right? He's casting his dog.
Yeah.
So
you could probably liken Filoni a bit more to Gunn, but obviously Gunn has far more responsibilities and far more of a heavier role than Filoni does. But it's more comparable.
Cast cosplayers from Suicide Girls Con. You know what I mean?
But you could probably compare him more to Gunn than you could Feige.
Right.
Because Gunn is helping with all these other filmmakers with their narrative. That's what Filoni's doing.
Whoa, this is the biggest comment we've ever got, so I'm going to read it. If I may give my 5 cents on it, the future of Star Wars is clouded one because...
And 5 cents? This is like $1.
Yeah, this is like $50. Star Wars is a clouded one because it's uncertain what's really going on behind the curtain. That said, it is my belief that Star Wars being headed by Dave Filoni is what should happen. And more power to him so he can make all the creative decisions. People are still worried about Kathleen Kennedy. Why? Just let her do the same as she always has been doing production-wise, like the same way she did with Spielberg. Dave is just a nick away from the master. So, kinda, but I mean, it's like when I use that analogy of a Voltron, I think it really is there is a corporate structure to this, and it's not absolute power. He's not the creative emperor of Star Wars. You know what I mean? He's not that.
He's not even hiring the filmmakers. He's not greenlighting the stories that are being told, and he's not hiring the filmmakers to tell them. That's Carrie Beck's job. He is helping shepherd the narrative for those filmmakers.
So what it would mean is when a group of guys come in, like the Spider-Man dude, and they're like, I have this idea for Skeleton Crew. Dave is going to be the one who tells them, I love the idea. I don't like the idea, but he's also going to tell them, here's this thing that you want to do in it. Here's why you can't do it.
Well, no,
Or-
he
or-
the-
or here's-
you
or
put
here's
in a
what you
Salad
can
the
do.
Hut, and I'll greenlight that
yeah,
shit.
no,
Yeah.
so the Spider-Man guys would go to Carrie Beck. Carrie Beck was
Right.
like, I like this
Fair.
idea, I'm confident in it. I'm saying okay to this development process. Development process starts, they move over to Filoni, who helps them develop the narrative. So they're like, we want to do this and this. He's like, well, this would work in this era, and this is, these characters won't be around. This is the state of the galaxy, and help them tell that story. He's
Yeah.
not going to. He's not the one who's forcing the creative narrative on all these things. He's not saying, right, John Watts, I want you to make something in the Mandoverse.
Yeah.
I want you to make this story. That would be either Beck's job or the filmmakers who come in. In general, they'll have their own idea, own pitch, and then he just helps. He says it in the Vanity Fair article. He wants to help them tell the best story they can tell, but it's their story.
Right.
Can he help himself tell the best story he could tell? Because
Just look
I
in the mirror.
got issues with the last time he wrote some stories.
No, his stories
Well, he needs
are
to have some
good.
words with John
His
Favreau
stories
for
have
that.
never been bad. You don't like the scripts, which is completely fair. But
It's the
his
story.
No, it's
Like-
not a story. No. You could the story itself is good. You don't like that if the scenes are missing in the story in terms of the interaction between like Sabine and Ezra. What the fuck were you doing that whole time? Like
Yeah,
the fact
that's
that
the part of the story I don't like.
But that's not the story. That's a scene that should have been in that script. But that's not the story. It could have been included, but it's not. That's not the actual story itself.
The story is they
it's a
want to go
missing
find their
scene.
friend that's disappeared for almost 10 years, 20 years. How long was it? Right.
Yeah, but
And in Stranger Things, Hopper was gone for 8 months, and they freaked out more when they found him. I don't know, man. They were just like, "No, man, you're cool."
But once again, that isn't like the
That's the story.
No, it's the same. It's not. That's not the story. That's a scene in a script, and it's just like I could tell you A New Hope, and I could take out all kinds of things of it without changing the story. The story is the same. He's good at storytelling. He's not good at actually writing scripts. He's not good at actual meaningful interactions between his characters that aren't superficial. Because I think that's the problem with him coming out of animation. Is I think that everything is like implied, inferred, and it's at an emotional level of like a 10-year-old, as opposed to actually being like, oh, your friend's been missing for 10 years? Like, hey, what's up, homie? Like, that's all you know what I mean? If they hug and they kiss, if they cry and they scream, or if they just fucking high five or give a thumbs up and walk on, it's the same story. That's what I'm trying, the point I'm trying to make. He's very good at plotting, but the execution of the scripts,
A plot and story
Not my
are two
favorite.
different things, Jason. So
I know that's what I'm saying.
I say he's
very
bad at the story. He may be good at the plotting, but the story he's not good at.
Yeah, that nothing changes the meta narrative of it if we put that scene in or not. That's my point. And like he's very good at that. And that's where I think he's going to be good at his job. You know what I mean? That's where he will probably excel at in this gig. But it's if we want anything, that's also the downside of the George Lucas relationship. Is it's like I'm sure he's had meaningful mentorships with other creatives since George Lucas, like, you know what I mean, when he was hanging around Lucasfilm with Rian Johnson and stuff like that. I'm sure he learned more about character interaction from somebody like Rian than somebody like Lucas, but we don't really know. We could look at the proof in the pudding of in the Ahsoka series itself, and it's like, I think the story is solid, but I don't think the execution of the story hit every opportunity it could have. I'm with you on that. When she finally meets Ezra Bridger, it's just like it's very not impactful. It wasn't
Even
memorable.
the follow up to that is just like, oh, how did you get you? Oh, it's complicated. How are we getting off you? It's not gonna
tell you tomorrow.
Like,
and then not tell you tomorrow. And then we'll take the slowest vehicle made. I mean, it's slower than sand crawlers. Right? And we'll not talk about anything. Okay.
It's like if you guys came to visit me in Wales, right? I'd be like all happy and excited, like, hey, it's you two. And then I'd have follow-up questions shortly after the excitement dies. I'm like, when are you guys going home? How did you get here? Where are you staying? It's
that happened to me once, Bespin. I had this girlfriend And she was in my room, and I just one day I was like, "When you going home?" And she's like, "Yeah, you know about that." I'm like, and guess what? She moved
Now
in.
you guys have been married for 10 years. No, I'm kidding.
No, different person. I'll never forget that one. I got snookered. Like I was like, look
Yeah.
at this.
I know. I don't do well with that. You know, I prefer to go to someone's house and them come to my house.
Same.
There's this little bit here on Balin I wanted to hit on because I think it's like it's interesting, but I also think it tells us where they're at more. To Filoni, Balin is just a seeker, just like Ahsoka, someone wrestling with his memory of what he taught and the subsequent disillusion that had set in. He's a person that survived the Clone Wars, that was trained in waxing, waning days of the Jedi Knights, just like Anakin, Filoni says. He saw his order, his way of life fall apart, and he's basically deemed it a failure. That way did not work. That it's not something worth resurrecting, which is why he tells his apprentice, Shin, I didn't teach you to be a Jedi, I taught you to be something more. That something more
a rebel.
would seem to be rooted in the Force version of deities. He's tried to take these teachings that he's learned as a young person and create his own way of being. And he's looked at the cycle of things and said, enough with this. I have this power. I should wield it. I should be the one making decisions, which a lot of people with power decide that's the way to go, Filoni says. He's also very certain that what he's doing now is the right thing. While Filoni isn't sure what will become of Balin in Stevenson's absence, so that's it right there. He's not sure what will become of Balin in Stevenson's absence. He's acknowledged is that the character's journey is not complete. Obviously, there's a story there, he says. We're in a wait-and-see pattern at this point, but I'm glad the conversation is about Rey and how great he was. I used to have many debates with him and say, Rey, you're the villain here. And he'd be like, I don't think so. And I was like, I know you don't think so, but you are. I love that you're playing it like you're not, which is exactly the way Balin thinks.
He goes, and he goes, and he goes, and he goes, and Kathy's like, stop it! Stop it!
And then everybody in the Ahsoka set starts dancing.
Yeah, because they're all a family now.
Mm-hmm.
The character has become one of the standouts of the series, a new fan favorite. I think he would have been over the moon. The big regret here is he didn't get to experience that, Filoni says. I'm glad he was at Star Wars Celebration with us, that he got to see the trailer and get a taste of that from fans. And they've been nothing but wonderful about Rey and the character. So, and then that's...
I can never tell which Rey he's talking about
when he
first starts talking about Reys. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, right. But
with the Rey?
So they clearly haven't figured out what they're gonna do with that character. I think that they're probably, you know, if they haven't even greenlit Ahsoka season 2, really. But it's like there's a quote from Ahsoka, the Ahsoka actor in it, where she's like, Dawson. Yeah, where she's like, Dawson's like, oh wow, they're giving him a movie. I think that means good things for us getting a season 2. You know,
she was like at Celebration. She was on stage, like, and it was very awkward because nobody responded to her. Like Filoni put his head down and just like had a grin. Favreau was just laughing, and Kathy was just staring at her. And
like,
she was like,
kill you.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I hope we get another season. I've been saying today we want another season, and it's like it didn't come off as funny. Like nobody in the crowd was laughing, which obviously I was a part of. But like, yeah, she's been pushing that since like April.
Yeah, while the prospect of a second season seems assured, nothing is finalized except Lucasfilm's willingness to continue Ahsoka's story. I mean, they've not said anything officially, but I remember when we were at Star Wars Celebration in London, they were like, we're giving Dave a movie, Dawson says. And I was like, I kind of feel like that means we're probably going to get a second season. For a while now, and especially now with the strike and everything, no one can say anything. But he did say he was working on an outline, so we'll see. So they right there they confirm he's working on an outline.
He's like,
and once
outline,
again though,
page 1, Ahsoka died. There's your second season, bitch.
But that also tells you how far away in the development process he is. Like he's now doing an outline.
No, he was doing an outline back at Celebration.
Is that what she said? He was doing an outline at Celebration? I know she said that's when his movie was announced.
I kind of feel like that means we're probably going to get a second season for a while now, and especially now with the strikes and everything, no one can say. but he did say he was working on an outline. So we'll see. I guess you could maybe move that around in the timeline to mean a lot of potentially different things.
Yeah,
But
to me that reads as like, because they couldn't say or do anything during the strike, he's saying he's now doing an outline, or was pre-strike.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but again, if the last thing she heard was an outline, like maybe that's what he is. And obviously with the Ray like death, you know,
right.
like Ray died when was it May? Like was the strike already ongoing when he passed away?
Yeah, I'll look it up right now. Ray.
Because obviously celebration was in April, so he might have.
But what do the Saudis think, Jason? Like, are they on board with this move? Because they own Star Wars now. Like, don't they have to approve of all this stuff?
No, that wasn't real, dude. I'm sorry.
What?
You got confused, Rob. The Saudis didn't buy it. It was George Lucas that bought it.
Yeah, he was born
What
on
does
May
George feel about it?
25th, 1964, and he died on May 21st, 2023. Pretty close to his birthday.
So at that point, the writers were striking. So Filoni couldn't have been writing.
But I also question. I mean, would Rosario Dawson have had anything to do with Dave Filoni between Celebration and then? Is the other thing that I would say. That's what, if I was gonna just bet on a date for on the quote, I would put it back towards the Celebration time, because they didn't go
in the like in the actual article as well. They're exploring a second season.
Yeah.
Like, which means like he isn't actively working on it. They're just like going through the ideas and the possibilities of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I know back on season 1 or Stormcrow, they were all calling it season 1 of Stormcrow.
Yeah. It's on some of the merch that they gave the employees. It's on there.
Yeah. It was like.
But Jason, does this mean that it's not filming in Pinewood? If they're only now doing the outline and it's not being greenlit?
Well, I think they're going to film it, then they're going to go back and outline and write it. And then, you don't have, you could do things in whatever order you want.
Are they going to do a JJ and just film something without having a script?
Dude, that's the power of make-believe in your imagination.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, anything can happen.
SpongeBob told me that.
So.
Yeah.
But that's, now, and just to be clear, because if for some reason Dave Filoni ends up filming something at Pinewood, that could fucking happen. I mean, it's possible, but right now that it's happening and that it's the plan for it to happen, I don't believe that would be the case. No. I don't believe that they would go and start booking out studio type or something that's maybe only outlined, or something that is so far away, because we know that it will not make whatever the timeline that they are dreaming of in their head right now. It's not the realistic time. That's not how you go and you start.
That they're dreaming of is 2 shows out by 2026.
Yeah.
And the movie out by the end of 2026.
And the other thing that has been underplayed and a little bit by, well, we talked about it, but we also haven't said it a lot, which I think is the reason why they don't understand. There's not a lot of reason to uproot the LA people and take them over to Pinewood, because they have El Segundo, they have, what do you call it? Manhattan Beach, the studios itself, where the volume is based. Then they still have the space over at Cal State Dominguez Hills. And by the way, that space at Cal State Dominguez Hills is about 5 times the space of the El Segundo set.
Yeah, they also had like little studios in Culver City on top of that.
They did some stuff in a warehouse in Long Beach. So point being is, when you get all of this like together, the only reason I could ever see them going to Pinewood is because they want to work with the same crew on the film as they do on the preceding television series, maybe to get used to working together. But as I said before, that's,
you know what I mean?
No, and that's making me make that narrative better. Like, that narrative didn't come with this. I shouldn't have to do that, which makes me not believe any of it at all.
No. Mando,
plus, at this point, how many people? I've asked like 5 people about it, and I've gotten from Pinewood. They've all said, I don't know anything about that, Jason.
Yeah.
So,
at
this point,
my Pinewood people just know about the Ray thing. That the Ray thing is that's the only thing they know that's going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great if the Filoni thing ended up there. I mean, I would the production value of a UK crew and the spaces is unparalleled for us for Star Wars, anyways, at this point. But even if they did do that, though, the idea that it would be specifically Pinewood, it seems even less likely these days compared to like just look at what just happened with Acolyte.
Yeah, Acolyte filmed primarily at Shinfield and did some work at Pinewood.
Yeah, and Andor, you know, it's like the stuff isn't, and even The Last Jedi did a similar thing, and so that the idea that like it's that I think is in a very
Pinewood will likely get used. It's just no guarantee this for the production.
yeah, no way am I saying Star Wars and Pinewood are done.
No.
Like I would imagine that the majority of the films will be filmed at Pinewood for the tax breaks, for the talent, for the crew, and for the space, but it doesn't really. That Ahsoka rumor, I think, with this stuff we just got right now, you could probably put it to bed more than you could before. But I still personally, based off of what we've heard, believe that Ahsoka season 2, in some form, will hit with Mando before that movie, unless for some reason they ran out of time. You know, there is still time issues, but
people...
his movie has a lot longer to go. Like it's like what was the release date of Filoni's movie right now? Is it
December 2026?
December, so it's basically when you get down to it 2027, like the start of it. When
you
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
No, he's just gonna drop it tomorrow on Disney Plus, dude.
Oh,
he probably needs to. Sorry, go on, Rob.
Oh no, man, it's really important stuff I was saying.
He probably needs to wrap it by December 2025.
Yeah.
Right. And these things have been taking around 6 months. So if he starts filming it in June, like that's probably the latest.
He ain't getting any Star Wars movie till 2026. I don't care what they say. Like they don't have a script for anything, and they're gonna have to start. They'd have to be shooting some movie by June of this year of 2024 to get it out in 2025. Like,
I think they could go later than that. I think they could go into the fall, because the Rey movie is supposed to be May 2026. So I think if they go to say like September or October and go to February, March 2025, I think they'll be all right. But yeah.
It doesn't paint a picture for me of a movie that's not up against the clock, though. If that does happen, again.
Well, they were looking to do it over 2 years ahead of its release. It was supposed to start in April. At Pinewood for the May 2026 release. If we just add the WGA strike time on top of that, which was 4 months, then we're probably looking at like August, maybe September. You know.
Do you think Filoni may have been in this role before being officially promoted to it? Do you think, because remember the old rumor of David Lindelof kicking up his writer's room and that Dave Filoni was in it? I'm wondering
they were
if that's
playing a stupid narrative of like, oh, he may or may not be in it. It may or may not be like sequel trilogy characters.
Yeah, like, if that was true, if those reports were accurate, I'm wondering if that's actually sort of.
But that was 2 years ago when he was a part of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's a lot of times that you are in a corporate structure and that you're doing a job that you're not being paid for and you're not officially promoted to yet, and so that's more. And I'm wondering if that was sort of like, if that was maybe like the trial run, the test run, his first foot into that, because that would put him in that production very early on.
But do you remember when? So in the initial reports from like Snyder and everything, he did it like at least 6 months before the trades. It was like it's just him and Gibson working on it, and then when that seemed to get momentum and confidence, looks from probably when it's officially greenlit, I suppose.
Yeah.
In the summer, they orchestrated that writer's room.
Right.
And then they went on a retreat. And that's when they said Filoni might be involved. So even in what Filoni said in his thing was like, yeah, after like it's already been developed, he comes on as the executive creative director. That still will reply to his role then. By like, yeah, they already have the idea, they already have the treatment for it. And then as they step into the writer's room, it's just helping develop that. So it is still later into the development process. He isn't like shepherding him at the start of it. But so that still could have just applied to his previous title. And I don't think he held that title for that long, right? He's only been in that role a couple of years. maybe 2.
Yeah,
So-
that's why I'm wondering.
He held it shorter than the 1-2-3 kid had the Intercontinental back in '93, right, Jason? It's like
I don't know
one
what you're
WWF
talking
ever,
about.
right?
The
What?
1-2-3 kid? Oh,
Huh, yeah.
from wrestling? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, I was like, wow, I haven't thought about that guy in forever.
But this is a comment. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. All right.
KM22 says, is there any way they can slow down the amount of productions and what they need to release them by, or have they totally backed themselves into a corner? Well, that's the thing is, because there's a difference, I think, between something being in production and something being developed. All of the things that we've been hearing about are not in production. Like the Rey movie is going to happen. Filoni's movie is going to happen. But are they like out building sets and stuff? No, they're not yet. Not that I know of anyways. And so that right there isn't really in production. So these productions don't really actually exist they're more of a theoretical at that point until they green light them. And from by all accounts, the Filoni and the Rey movie will happen. Like
those movies have already been greenlit, by the way. All these movies have been greenlit.
Have they been green? I mean, well, Filoni and
they've
Rey
all officially announced them. So.
Yeah, but I don't think you're actually greenlit until you have a script and a budget.
Well,
and so
why? Well, if you're coming out publicly on whether it's Star Wars Celebration or whether it's on a blog post on StarWars.com, if you're on there announcing new movie from whoever it is, Sharmina Bay-Chinoy, Dave Filoni,
yeah,
is now like.
But we know that's not true because by that logic, what happens is the script comes back and it sucks, and then they don't make it.
Yeah, but
they don't actually.
Yeah, but they greenlight projects without even having a script. That doesn't mean it's not greenlit. They just like
when a project is greenlit, it's when they throw the money at it. It's when they say yes.
Yeah, but
it's when they like I said, it's an intent to greenlight.
No, it's not an intent. But you don't publicly announce it if it's an intent to greenlight.
Lucasfilm disagrees with everything you're saying right now based off of their past track record.
Yeah, no, they're not a well-run company, but like,
yeah,
the term greenlight is like, yeah, you're good to go. You're being fucking made.
Oh yeah, like, yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
All these projects that they've announced
greenlit.
Have been greenlit.
I think, yeah.
Because I'm saying it's not greenlit.
See, Jason, this is what it's like when I talk to you about story versus plot, right? Jason, we're on a roll today, right?
Yeah.
See, Bestman,
it's fair.
You can never tell Lucas
because I understand. I understand what he's saying 100%. I'm just like, but the reality of
want to
Hollywood.
Make excuses for him, and
no, I'm not making it. No, I'm holding.
Shots fired.
No, I'm
they
saying
were greenlit.
I'm saying they're lying to you about what's greenlit. It's an intent.
They think it's greenlit. It's not an intent. It's like, yeah, we're greenlighting them to be developed. We're greenlighting them to. In their mind, they think these things are going to get released when they announce these things.
When we know when something greenlit is when you start to see like the actual hires going through for production. That's when we know something was greenlit, and then on.
Is it greenlit, Jason, when they hire directors and then fire them in the middle of production? Is that still greenlit?
Oh yeah, that's well greenlit. They're already making it. But that's the whole thing is where does development and stop and production begin? And pre-production doesn't count. You know what I mean? Like pre-production is oftentimes still a part of development. That's why I'm like, but when you're a big corporation like Disney, you know, you don't they've been careless over the last decade. Because they were on a winning streak. They was like, oh, of course, we're going to greenlight that. Yeah, we're going to make whatever we want to do, we're going to do. But then the reality becomes fucking different. Like Shogun Orta gave a $5 super chat. Thank you, Shogun. And says, they were pretty far with Rogue Squadron. Was that greenlit? And it's like, that's where it's a really, really fucking weird line.
It's not a weird question.
Greenlight anymore.
They greenlit it. They announced it. They did a little weird promotional video for it. They were building sets for it. It was greenlit.
When they started to do build sets, that's
no,
a greenlit.
That's not when
that's
it's
a greenlit.
That's not when it's greenlit.
That is.
That's not when it's greenlit.
I don't know when it's a greenlit. I don't.
That's not greenlighting. Just when you start making sets, isn't greenlighting. That's just when you enter in production, like for principal photography. That's not a greenlight.
All right.
you googling what greenlight means now? Like,
No, I'm looking up what it says. Yeah.
Bestman was counting the keys. He's
No,
like
I'm
GREEN.
yeah. No, in the context of film and television, the green light is to give permission to proceed with a project.
right, which is what they've done.
But once again, but see, okay, then what's the difference between fucking development and greenlit? Because there is a difference.
They've greenlit the
Well,
project
I
that
can
needs
tell
to
you,
be
like,
developed, though. That's the thing. Like, that's what the green light is.
Yeah, but I've been on productions where we were developing two different projects. You know, a high profile and an original project. They were in development. When it came time for the studio, for the publisher to cut a check, they canceled both. They did not proceed. It's not greenlit. Development means you're putting your pitch together. You might have a small crew or a crew, even the full crew you want to carry over in through development. It might be the exact same crew. So that you can say we're going to make the exact same thing. This is what we're going to make. But at some point, it's greenlit when they decide to cut the checks for full production.
That's what I'm
budget
saying.
Of, and until they actually do that, that's when actual production assets are being made. If they're not making production assets, if they're just making concept art and writing scripts, you know, like even a shooting script's not the same as a development script. Like a script that's in development requires notes, but shooting scripts requires script supervisors and production supervisors and visual effects supervisors and costume designers to go through all that and budget out what that script is going to cost.
Tyrant says usually greenlit means it's reached development, has ended, and production funding is starting. Most studios don't announce movies on stage, but through PR.
I still disagree with what Tyrant's saying.
What's that?
The confusion though, Bespin, and you're right to bring it up because it is they've announced things is the problem. And we assume because they've announced it, they're greenlit, but that's not actually the case. I mean, like Rogue Squadron being the prime example of it was announced, put a whole little trailer together, made a big stink about it, zip. You know,
they were in pre-production and building sets on
that one. That film was greenlit. That film was actually.
Well, I take it all back. I don't know what I'm talking.
No, but your point still stands. Your point is the same. But that's the thing is that's where they circumvent normal Hollywood procedures, because usually you would have your script done or something very close to it. And then they would budget it out and then say, here's your money. The film is greenlit. You're ready to go. You're in production. Greenlit is in production. Development isn't, but they treat development and greenlighting as the same thing. Oftentimes, because with Star Wars, the development is still occurring during production, though, because they have that money and it's hard to make Star Wars stuff.
Not just with Star Wars, but with Marvel as well.
With these $200 million movies, that's like where they do it. But that's why everyone's like, oh, they keep like canceling everything. And it's like, well,
look, this is nothing that new, though. I mean, I'm
not sticking up for them. I think it's stupid to announce something that isn't greenlit, like truly greenlit. Like if you don't have a script for it, if you don't know that you're gonna make it, you don't think you should announce it.
Well, then you're gonna have to talk to George Lucas, because I was rewatching those VHS interviews they did with him back in '95, the ones that would play at the end of the tapes, and he's telling Bill Moyers, he's like, yeah, I know I'm writing all three scripts at the same time, developing all three movies simultaneously. Like that shit was not true.
No, he was. George has a real history of lying for licensees and investors of the licensees. So like there's a video called Star Wars is Forever. It's for Kenner investors. And in it, Lucasfilm is claiming that there's going to be 12 Star Wars movies. It's like 1978-ish, I want to say, when that came out. And he had never had any intention of making 12 Star Wars movies, but it was about the licensees who were paying Lucasfilm and making sure that they were all in a good spot and covering his ass. And like, so that's what that was. And then we see with the Lost guys, when Lost is finished, he's like, I made it. And he's about to fucking peace out. He's like, I made it all up as I went. Peace out, And but there's also like a difference between like a George Lucas and greenlighting as well. because George Lucas is just something's greenlit the second he decides he's going to make it with his own money. Like the money and the thing, it's already there. But that's why like Ahsoka 2 isn't greenlit. Even though there's the idea, there's the cast, he already has the fucking story. That's because he has a story that leads into the movie.
But you can't say, like, that's the thing. Ahsoka 2 isn't greenlit because they
No, it's
haven't
not.
committed to it. But Lucasfilm announced and committed to the Taika Waititi movie, the fucking James Mangold movie, the Ray movie, the wherever.
But Taika's movie is a prime example of a movie that is not greenlit. They haven't
But it
got a
was,
script.
though.
It's not though.
But it was greenlit. They announced it with the intention to develop and release.
Love
this argument.
That's a development.
I'm looking forward to this continuing on Fortnite on Saturday when I bring it up, right?
Yeah, I mean, no, they haven't. They have the intention of making Taika's movie. Taika's movie would have a date. It would have everything going if it was greenlit. It would have a timetable. Like you don't greenlit.
She did give a timetable.
They can't greenlight things without a timetable because
it's going to cost.
Because it's going to. They don't even know when they're going to make that movie.
No, but at the time when they announced it, they were claiming it's 2025.
Yeah, but it wasn't greenlit. It wasn't even written.
It wasn't written. No, but that didn't stop them from saying, "Yeah, you're good to go." Taika.
They don't want you to know the difference because they don't want you to know when they don't know what they're doing and they're making it a best.
No, they're just not. No, they're just not doing it the proper way. They are. Look, Lindelof. The Ray movie is the right way that they did it. They never announced Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson were working on a Star Wars movie, and they worked on it for 2 years. Then at Star Wars Celebration, after Lindelof and Gibson left, they announced the Ray movie publicly. Right. It was greenlit, right? So they spent 2 years.
After they got rid of the guys who was developing for 2 years, then they announced it.
But when they greenlit that film, they had a tangible script in their hand, and they knew what they wanted different. Like that's a big difference between Taika's like theoretical. I'm going to turn it a script someday. I'm telling you, you can't give a budget on a film. And you can't do it until you know when, where, how, and all that stuff. That's when something is really greenlit.
Yeah, but they aren't operating on that system. To them, when they're announcing these things, because you shouldn't announce them. They handled the Ray movie correctly. They let it develop for 2 years before
closer to it. Closer to it. It was closer to correct. Yeah, it's still until it happens. I'm just gonna say it's closer to correct. You know. I do believe it will happen. I do believe that one will happen, even if it's just a shit film at this point. I think it's on the rails, because it is actually greenlit. It will happen, even if it shouldn't. But yeah,
it is greenlit.
What?
So it is greenlit.
Chris says. Let's just say there are two distinct levels of being greenlit: concept and then production.
There's not like it's just the Lucasfilm. Fucking idiots at times, man. Like it's just when you see something that HBO is greenlit, right? Okay, that's being actively developed and will eventually go into pre-production or it's in pre-production and will go into actual production, right? With Lucasfilm, it's like, Taika Waititi, boys, and then it's like, maybe we'll see that shit in like 10 years after it's announced, Like
but it like I said,
but he's been working on it the entire time. And Kathy's like, I was going to release 3 years after we announced it.
But I have friends who've like written entire TV shows that have not actually been greenlit yet.
And that's normally the process.
And that's but Lucasfilm gets ahead of itself because they know that when they hire a Taika, it's gonna fucking leak out because Taika has 15 other projects that is going to make sure that it why can't Taika come in and do this next goal wins thing right now? Oh, because he's working on Star Wars. Well, it's going to leak out.
But Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson leaked out and they didn't feel the pressure to announce it. Yeah. They still sat on it for over a year from just when we knew about it and then announced it with the Ray movie at Celebration.
Right.
There's only supposed to be one way of greenlight this. Well, you can work on a TV show for months, years before being greenlit, or ultimately say, no, we're going to pass on this idea. That is how it's supposed to go. But Lucasfilm, being Lucasfilm, say, okay, Taika, we've had many meetings with you. We like your pitch. We like your idea. We're now going to publicly announce to the world that you were developing a Star Wars movie and we're going to release it in fucking 3 years.
But that's because when you're a rock star, it is sort of a given that your shit is going
Do
to
you think
get
Sean Levy's a
greenlit.
fucking rock star?
I don't
Yes.
know.
I don't.
I don't know.
I think
Honestly,
he's made some good Stranger Things episodes.
But I also don't believe
He
that
will
Sean,
be after July
Okay.
2024. Let me
But
tell
I
you
do-
that much.
but-
I can
but-
tell you that much.
I can tell you this. I can tell you this factually: the Sean Levy film is not greenlit. It's just in development. That's a fact.
Yeah, but they have a different definition of this. To what?
I don't know.
To what other studios and like people like us classes as that?
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah,
it's
well,
not greenlit,
they could molest it and manipulate it into whatever they want until the film is in its until its pre-production is essentially over, and it is greenlit means go make it now. That's not. It doesn't mean develop it now. It means go
but they
make it
don't
now.
treat it like that.
And there's different reasons for why that would happen when you have your Patty Jenkins and you have your Taika Waititi's that your quote titans of the industry. Then it goes to go without saying, if they can make it when they can make it, their film is probably going to get made by that studio who wants more of that cash that they generate. But that's where, when it comes to like Sean Levy, I would say no, it's probably not actually greenlit. You know what I mean? And
We shouldn't even be having this conversation. It's absolutely like ludicrous.
I could have
is
this
a
conversation for another 2 hours.
I don't want to have this conversation for 2 hours. I was supposed to be playing Fortnite. Like,
Yeah,
he
we got
needs to
stuff to
update
do.
people on Filoni. Like,
No.
and
Is
educate 'em.
Filoni greenlit? I just want to know.
No, he's not, because he hasn't started work on his fucking script.
When he drinks absinthe and watches
Okay.
that movie with Ewan and Natalie Portman,
Here's
Moulin Rouge. Does he get greenlit?
No, here's the important thing. Here's the important thing that I think to understand. When you're making serialized content, certain aspects of something being greenlit are more given than for other things. An original one-off film that has nothing to do with anything, it's greenlit when it's ready and the people paying for it are down and they know that they're going to do it. When it's serialized content and you know you are going to be making a Star Wars film and you know that this story will continue and so on, then the greenlighting stuff is a little bit more fluid than before. Like, it stands to reason. Like I say, yeah, Ahsoka isn't greenlit, but I know that they're going to make something about that story before they get to that film. So whether it's that or not, something will be greenlit to take the place of that. That goes with it without saying. But Lucasfilm has a thing of telling fans something is greenlit, or the idea that something is greenlit, when that's not what it means, and that's why we don't have any of these films. Like the amount of I think off the top of my head know of the Maz Eisley film, which is the Jabba film, was greenlit with Del Toro directing. The not the Ray movie. What's that one? The Rogue Squadron movie was the other one. Those are the only two that I could name off the top of my head of that were actually made it to the green light process.
Well, Benioff and Weiss was supposed to be green because they were getting studio space.
Mm-hmm.
For production.
I don't know. I don't know if it was actually like fucking greenlit though. Like, or to what degree that was just like the studio planning and stuff.
They need to they know not to do this. Like,
they should know.
Like they let it permeate in the trades, and like with Snyder and with us, that Lindelof was developing a Rey movie for like over a year. Yeah. They just let that there. They didn't comment on it or anything. And that's the way
Skeleton and Acolyte greenlit? Is that
Acolyte's cancelled, mate? What are you on about? They didn't. That's not even a real show. They didn't film at all.
Yeah, wasn't Acolyte canceled because they didn't pay their taxes or something? Like
they just filmed the trailer. That's what they ended up.
They just filmed the trailer. The trailer was greenlit, not the series.
Thank you for the super chat, Aria. Aria gave 20 Donkey Kong bucks. It says Skeleton Acolyte news. When can we expect trailers? And I'll let you say what you want to say, Bespin, because I don't want to step on your toes. But let's just say classically, the real trailers come about 2 months before release. And earlier I had a DM from Aria asking me if we thought we'd get anything for Thanksgiving. And I would say I don't expect there to be anything for Thanksgiving. And if anything does come for Thanksgiving, it might simply be a Disney Plus trailer with like something in it. But that I haven't heard that's a thing. I don't know anything about that. And so in my opinion, I wouldn't hold my breath. I think it will be several months before we see anything from Skeleton Crew or Acolyte. And you could swap them and say Acolyte Skeleton Crew probably is where we're at with it, right? Does that make sense? Does what I said sound fair to you guys?
I mean, I wrote in an article on it like fucking 3 months ago. Like,
Yeah.
but when people could expect Skeleton or Acolyte or whatever else, so I shouldn't be expecting a trailer anytime soon. There's one event at the end of the year that like a lot of these studios are paying much more attention to, and that's CCXP. So I think if anything happens for any of these things, it'll be there. If it's this year, I doubt it, but it's a thing to keep an eye on. Like, and I mean Star Wars in general. I don't just mean those two things. It could be anything else.
Yeah.
It could even just be like a Bad Batch trailer. But
right.
CCXP is one to look at. Look at Indiana Jones last year. That's where they premiered that trailer. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau were also there to, I think, announce the release date for The Mandalorian. They didn't like show anything, but they were there like through a video call and announced like a release date, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you going to be doing anything on Bad Batch? Anything soon about what you heard about Bad Batch, or is that just probably? Yeah.
Because I need the money.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, I mean that's one to do for the money. You know. Yeah.
Listen, that's not even working on it. That's just reporting it. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to the animated stuff and the live action stuff, like I just see them as two different worlds in terms of like the prioritization on them and stuff.
I have far less interest in one, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
You know, hence why you don't see a lot of Bad Batch coverage from me.
Yeah, I would say like the prospect of an Ahsoka season 2, like if that's like a 9 for me of interest, then Tales of the Jedi is probably like a 7, and then Bad Batch is probably like a 4. You know what I mean? That's probably like where my enthusiasm meter is for those things at the moment.
Well, just to go on that scale, for me, Ahsoka season 2 was like a 6.
Okay.
Tales of the Jedi is like a 4. Bad Batch is like a 2.
Yeah.
Movies are probably more like 7 or 8.
But I think when we get closer to that movie time of the Filoni film and the stuff that's happening in those shows, I think it's going to be more intriguing to guys like us at that point, because the ramifications for it could have bigger implications.
Of course,
it will be more, I think, engaging than the first season.
But the idea of like Ahsoka being announced and like us knowing when it's going to go on film doesn't necessarily like excite me.
Yeah.
You know, like there's nothing on their slate that excites me.
Right.
There's things I'm interested in, and there's things like I'll see all of it, but like there's nothing that's like.
What would? Curious. Like what would excite me? Well, I'm just curious. Like what could they announce? You know, that you would go, my damn man, now I'm back in, baby. Like that's what would it be?
Jabba the Hutt movie.
Seriously? A Jabba the Hutt movie?
No, it's not. It's not Jabba. I don't know. I think the
hanging out with James.
The closest they've gone to it is the Dawn of the Jedi movie. Because it's something that's unrelated.
And it scares me. Like the idea of that stuff, the idea of like definitively playing with the mythos of Star Wars. It's like you got to be that has to be like the best thing you've ever done, Mangold. It has to be. You have to make it the best thing you've ever done, or it's going to disappoint. You know, it's weird.
Or think like hire a filmmaker or something that I love, and that they're developing a Star Wars movie. Like that would be, very
okay. Exciting. What filmmakers do you love?
The Safdie brothers.
I knew you were gonna fucking say it. I knew it.
Snyder. He's a Snyder guy. I love the Safdie brothers.
I love the Safdie brothers. I love Good Time. It's one of my favorite movies. So is Uncut Gems. I don't know, like they would like be up there. It's like we talked about Taylor Sheridan the other day.
Yeah,
if he did a Star Wars show, like a limited series, I'd be very excited for that. Yeah, like it's just At the moment, like I said, the closest they got to it was Dawn of the Jedi because it's not related to anything else. What I've
So
wanted
if
from
Taylor
Star Wars.
Sheridan, if Taylor Sheridan announced Hut and High Water, you'd be really excited, right?
Oh,
Oh
fuck
right,
yeah.
the hell right, yeah. Like,
Well, what
yeah,
I
I'm
was
all
saying,
in.
what I was saying the best one yesterday is I was like, yeah, you know, when you look at like Book of Boba Fett, that was like this sort of wannabe Western, and it was all right. It had some good moments to it, but if Taylor Sheridan had done it, he would simply be translating a Western into Star Wars, in Western with tech, essentially. And I think that it would be well better. It would have been completely on the whole thing, even down to how he takes Tatooine or Mos Eisley at the end or whatever. Like
Yes,
it would have
it's
been
like
better.
it's like Gilroy and Andor. Like he said before, right, that he like based that out of some scripts that never got like made as films, and it's just like an incredible story and a great story just in a Star Wars skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yeah.
that'd be a great spy thriller no matter what, like whether it's in the Star Wars universe or somewhere else.
Right.
And I think Sheridan would be another example of it. You let him write the limited Western series, and then you just slap a Star Wars skin on it. It would probably translate well.
Yeah.
The thing that that I've wanted for years from Star Wars is for him to like leave everything we know. I want to move on from the original trilogy, the sequel trilogy, the Empire, all of it, and do
Right.
something brand new, which is what I always hoped Taika was doing,
Right.
or Ryan was doing. When you reported on those rumors like 4 or 5 years ago at this point, maybe
Right.
longer, that excites me a lot more. Like I want the shows in the original trilogy and wherever else to exist alongside this new developing world with that they're making. That's
Yeah.
the thing that excites me more than anything else, and they haven't given us that yet. You know, like I said, the closest thing we got to it is Mangold with Dawn of the Jedi because it's so disassociated from the rest of it, which is what obviously he wanted as well, for we know from interviews.
Yeah.
But what about you guys then? What would be the thing that gives you the 9 or 10 as an announcement that's being made?
Rob?
Well, look, man. I mean, Tony Gilroy doing anything, I'm interested in, but it would be years away. I think the problem I
Yeah,
have with
I think
getting
he's
too
getting too
excited,
up there too. I think he's gonna
yeah,
be
he's
out
getting too
after
up there,
this.
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a dude who could shepherd. I think the problem I
Mhm.
have is just that, and it's not like, oh, I have a problem with Kathleen Kennedy and like a CEO isn't going to solve these problems. I just think creatively, what I just need to see some kind of shift away from Galactic Starship, like, I'm not saying the experience, but that cartoonishness, and more into at the Rogue One, Return of the Jedi. I mean, Empire Strikes Back. A New Hope kind of grounded reality kind of bit. Like I get excited when I see that sort of thing. So
Mhm.
like, hey man, if Gareth Edwards was coming back to do something, I'd actually be excited about it. You know what I mean? Like, despite what people think. So
Mhm.
I really enjoyed The Creator. It's one of my favorite films this year, even though, is it the greatest script? No, but it's way better than any of this comic book shit that's come out for the most part, aside from Loki, like, so
Yeah.
it's like, if you could just, the problem is getting excited with Lucasfilm. I was excited when Lord and Miller were going to do Solo. I'm like, I'm against this idea, but these two guys, you just don't know what you're going to get with them. And then halfway through, they get rid of them. So I'm like, how am I supposed to? If they announce James Cameron tomorrow was going to do some shit, I'd be like, I'll believe it when I see it. Like,
Mhm.
I don't,
What about
that's
Christopher McQuarrie?
same thing. I'll believe it when I see it. And Christopher McQuarrie has talked about if he did his own Star Wars thing. And I know what he's done off the record, but,
Yeah.
and he
In
would
Rogue
say,
One.
and he doesn't believe he could make something that would be as fun as the first Star Wars film.
Mhm.
It's his own words. He doesn't think that there's an appetite for that, whether with the fans or otherwise. So like, that bothers me because I don't think Star Wars should just exist in cynicism. I love the tone of Andor. There should be times for cynicism. There should also be times for high adventure.
Yeah.
And the problem though is when you're saying you're going to make like, a dramatic storyline, high adventure is the hardest thing to get in there because you feel like it's detouring away from the drama. And that's the weird balance. And so they sort of need one playground right now. Like, I thought the Mando stuff would just be one thing on Disney Plus. Anything that goes under would fall under Mando. We'd have one big sandbox with Mando stuff. But when it's all this other stuff, and it's like an Ahsoka, and it's a Kanoa, and it's all those other eras. I don't know, man. It's just I just want a consistency for a little bit that I can like. I know what I'm going to. I can get it for a bit. You know, everything's too different, right? I mean, it's a wild swing between Kenobi and Ahsoka and Andor. Like, you can't if you liked any one of them and not the other, you can't guarantee you're gonna be even interested in the next thing they do, because I can't even guarantee Mando will feel the same. You know, like, so at this point, that's the problem. I would get excited if they would just sort of say, hey, you know, we're doing this for a bit here, and on Disney Plus we're doing that over there, and in the games we're doing this, so I could just sort of latch onto it. But I sort of feel like they don't want to, you know, whoever is doesn't want to put all their eggs in one basket tonally, you know. So
what about you, Jason? What would be the filmmakers or what thing that's announced to get you to like a 9 or 10?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, like, we kind of took it from me when we were talking about the Taylor Sheridan thing, because that's where my brain is still kind of like stuck, as I see he's the person who's making westerns set in different eras, modern and old. And like, I was watching Bass Reeves Lawman this week. I was enjoying it for what it is. And so that guy is the guy I think you could have for the Western side of stuff. But I also don't feel that Star Wars is entirely a Western. I think that is an elementary observation to make on Star Wars. It's that's all it is. That's all. It's like, no, it's not. It's a lot more than that. And the one thing that I think that we have got a lot is that elementary observation, though, is of it's a Western, but it's also Arthurian legend. And if somebody was going to really come and like really take that, like once again, homeboy from I always say Green Knight. Like, if Green Knight had been a Star Wars film, I would fucking love that. That would have been great.
Yeah, because you were telling me that when you're watching Lawman, you couldn't help but think of, because he's essentially bounty hunting at some point.
Yeah,
what it would have been if he did the Mandalorian.
Yeah, he's essentially like a slave who is given the opportunity to win his freedom. His master fucks him over and stacks like a deck of cards against him, so he loses. He kills the master and makes himself free. So it's kind of cool because he kind of does win his freedom legitimately, but then has to kill the guy, wait for the Civil War to end, and then but he's an ethical being. And they continue to like give him jobs as a lawman, and then eventually he's a bounty hunter. And I'm like, as I'm watching this, I'm like, this is actually like a fucking better like Boba Fett origin. You know what I mean? Like, I could see Boba Fett getting fucking arrested by the Republic, put into chains, and then we open it up with him being a fucking slave on Tatooine, and then escaping and moving from there, and then ruling the planet. Like, there's just such a better story, and all of Taylor's origin stories are better than what Star Wars currently does with its modern origin stories too. So when it comes to that side of things, yeah, but I feel that the like I said, like the knights and the royalty side of things of Star Wars and that shit, it's been sidelined in a bad way because the prequels wanted to be a costume drama. The prequels didn't do that stuff. George Lucas didn't know the difference between that stuff and a costume drama when he made the prequels. For some reason, he got it all mixed up. And
yeah, I mean, Star Wars starts off like American Graffiti in a very and THX 1138, where he's shooting things like they're documentaries in a way, right? Like, yes, it's Buck Rogers, yes, it's cartoon matinee, but he's shooting it, you know, trying to use Super 16, you know, he's trying to get that grit in there. He's trying to make it feel like this world is just sort of playing out. But in this world, these crazy things can happen, but it feels real. And when it doesn't feel real to me is when I just go, I just can't, you know, and it doesn't mean you can't have pod races and all that stuff, but it has to feel real. It can't feel like a big, stupid let it be a cartoon. Make 2D animation. I like the Clone Wars when it's a 2D cartoon because I can just, the Jedi powers work better to me as a cartoon. But when I see Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor running like the Flash, it looks stupid to me. I'm like, I can't. This is not, I can't look at it. So that's where I fall out of it, you know? And I think that Taylor Sheridan thing is exactly, he's not making Bonanza 50 styles westerns, right? Like, it feels
not
real, even though it's
he's taking the basic storytelling qualities that worked in old Louis L'Amour novels, and how that was sort of like if you take every Louis L'Amour novel, they're all plug and play. act 1, 2, and 3, what happens in those acts. There's only like 3 or 4 different things. He's pretty fucking up on it. But then he takes that and he applies like the golden age of television style scripts, drama, and music and pacing and everything. And then like, so it's at one part of it is super, super basic. Another part of it is actually like he knows what he's doing today. And that's a kind of a rare that is a George Lucas quality too, actually, I would say. You know what I mean? In somebody. But in terms of like an idea that would like really make me go, oh my God, it has to be something I never thought of before. And the problem is that all of the ideas that I am continually usually getting are ideas that I thought of before that are just sitting there, people scratching their heads going, well, what's next? Well, we never did the origin of the Jedi. And then like, okay, you know, it's stuff like that. I'm not knocking it. I understand. I think those opportunities do need to get knocked out. But then what happens after we've done all of those? You know, then what?
Well, that's called hot shotting. That's the thing in wrestling where you're like, what happens when we put together like a cage match and a Hell in a Cell and a all in one big show? Then what?
Yeah.
The real problem, right? And there's no way you can get out of this. But you know, Lucas had the Empire. Everyone thought the Empire looked fucking badass. Great enemy. Yeah. Luke defeats the Empire.
Great song.
What's next?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And anything you do, they go, it's just a derivative of the Empire.
Right.
So it's almost like you need just like force bad guys that aren't trying to build an empire. You know what I mean? That you need just something totally different that is not as organized with one big fleet fighting another big fleet. You know, like, yeah, you sort of just need, for a while at least, until there's an appetite for it again, because it's sort of, you know, just what they keep doing over and over again.
Yeah, like Ben says, I think the Origin of the Jedi is so risky to make. And like, and that's the whole thing, like with the concept as they have presented it, is like, this might be a thing where, you know, like this war is happening on this planet, and then you know, so they start to discover the Force, and then you know, that changes things, how things work, and opening that up. But it might not even start with them starting a Jedi Order. We don't really know. Like, it might be just the.
Well, I thought
it might lead to the series that does. But
see,
we don't,
Jason,
you know, there's a lot of ways of taking the concept.
This is where Visions, like season 1, like really excelled in some areas. When you watch like the Ronin, or you watch the Ninth Jedi or whatever, like they just set up these premises that are already occurring in a universe where, like, all right, I'm on board, you know. So like, but when you speak about, well, it's a Sith and it's a thing, and like it's too, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's too broad or intangible, or what. Just if you place a character that you can latch onto in the middle of a situation in which conflict is happening, then you'll go on with them. Right now, we're just having a hard time. The minute you latch onto someone, like you latch onto Mando, then they're like, yeah, you know, Mando's not the focus now. Or you land onto Kenobi, and then Kenobi's not really the focus now. This is a problem, you know. Like Ahsoka's in it, but she's not really the lead as this other thing. And then you're like, all right, man, you know, like, you gotta have someone to go on the adventure with. You gotta pick one. You can't. Amateur writers tend to write like novels where they're like, I got 3 protagonists, because they can't figure out who's going to be the person you hang out with. And you're like, no, you got no choice. You know, like, stop. You know, everyone wants to be George R.R. Martin, but it's like, well, he can't finish his books. So like,
that is a problem with a lot of the modern protagonists in Star Wars characters, is that they tend to not really have a voice. And it's not until you just get a bunch of it that the voice just like develops. But that's not necessarily like the best way. Like, you know, when you meet Han Solo in 1 minute, you know everything you need to know about the guy. There's nothing, you know what I mean? You get him. And a lot of the characters don't necessarily have that. I mean, that's very fucking lucky and rare. But KM22 says, what about a Wolf of Wall Street style film exploring the rise and fall of Newt Gunray? I just want to see Lot Dot on Quaaludes. I'm in. Lot Dot trying to get into the speeder, you know, and it'd be great.
Hold on. I actually, Jason, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but this was actually in development. Yeah, I just want everyone to know the Nemodians only talk that way when they're high on coke. They actually sound like British people.
Oh,
but
wow.
when they're high on coke, they just sound like racial Japanese stereotypes. I'm sorry,
right?
Like,
and that makes
they were high the whole yeah they were high the whole time. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Well, Rick had a coke budget, and those puppets, they just went off. You know, couldn't stop them. No. It's like a 3-act play, and the third act it just got really high. Yeah.
A guy I know would tell me, he's like, yeah, George Lucas, he just thinks that accents are the funniest thing. Like, if you really want to win him over, you just do accents, and he thinks you're amazing.
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing to do in Australia was to say, good day, mate. Good day, mate. Right? Yeah, I got it.
Get out of here, George. You need to go. You need to retire again. You need to retire. But
good day, mate.
It's so stupid. It's Foster's for beer, mate. Yeah, but all right, I think we did it, guys. I think we did it. I think we got a stream out. We didn't even think we were gonna do one, and we did it. So, anything else to say before we go, Mr. Bestman?
This stream was greenlit by me.
It was greenlit.
I encourage this.
Greenlit.
The stream was greenlit.
Mm-hmm. It was. Yeah, I mean, you know, agree to disagree, because I think it was greenlit when I scheduled it. I think it wasn't until you had the article and I scheduled that it was greenlit. So, we'll. I don't know if there'll be any more Star Wars news between now and Thanksgiving, so I'd imagine there won't be, and that will, or any real news, anyways.
Filoni fired his chief creative officer by tomorrow morning.
Lucasfilm collapses.
Yeah. And then OpenAI picks him up. You know what I mean? It's a whole thing. Like,
just, you know, yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy signs a new deal for 3 years. That's going to be the story tomorrow.
KM22 says, does subscribing to the YouTube channel make you a YouTube channel channel subscriber? It does. It does. So just go to the Making Star Wars page on there, and there's like a little button that says subscribe. Click that, and then you just say that you want to subscribe, and then you're a channel member. So that's the best way, other than Patreon, to support this old show. And just don't. The thing I wanted to say before we left, really quickly, is there's going to be a lot of people taking this stuff and then perverting it to mean what they want it to mean for an agenda, or what the reality in which they wish they lived. And the article today, the news that we got today, does not mean that. It doesn't. It just simply means here's how the process works, and the process is in the article. And most people won't read the article. They won't read Bespin's article or the original Bresnikan article. They're just going to simply just go, hey, you know what? I saw this thing on, you know, Den of Jackasses or some shit like that, and here's what it means. Well, that's just a fucking lie. It's not true. It's just going to confuse everything, and it's going to allow certain content creators to make more bullshit content and more outrage content. That's obviously good for them and super chats, but not good for Star Wars or reality. And I'm all for people telling it how it is when it's the truth.
Like them super
by
chats,
all means,
though.
by all means, do that. Oh yeah,
I'll tell you whatever angers you. I'll tell you. You know,
yeah.
I anger people all the time. Why don't we get money for that? I'm not angering them in the right way. Is that it, Jason?
Yeah, no. I mean, you're not. And if you did this, I'd be rich right now. Okay.
You would be rich.
I would be rich.
Bestman would still be poor, but he would be rich.
Yeah. We'd just string him along, tell him, hey, don't worry, the super chat's in the mail, buddy. You know?
We'll be like, hey man, your super chat was greenlit, but it didn't go to production. So,
but once again,
it was greenlit, but it wasn't really greenlit. So was it really greenlit? You know?
Yeah, it wasn't really greenlit.
It was got greenlit, buddy. I just smoked it.
Like a leprechaun.
But basically, you know, I don't know. I respect anybody who does the Star Wars stuff with sincerity and passion and honesty. That's all you could really ask for. And the people that are going to take this and make it into something that it's not, they're fucking either they're jackasses or they're insincere fucking idiots. And I ain't got time for it. But I know that I have to live in that space, and that means I'm gonna have to see like people going, well, actually, and it's just like I ain't got time for it. But you know, hopefully we do get that Gungan costume drama someday. You know, it'll happen. All right, everybody. Thanks for Bespin for getting that article out for us to use on the show as quickly as you did, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Pat.
And
thanks for greenlighting me to do that.
You're welcome. And yeah, I think we'll be back after Thanksgiving, talking about Star Wars news if there's anything. And everybody have a good Thanksgiving and a good holiday or whatever it is that you do for that time. If you're not in the United States, I don't know what you guys do, but do your thing. Work. Go to work. Make some money. And we'll see everybody next week. Bye.
It's the end of the show.
show.